Number 10, Gold Beetle. Gold Beetle is a new character that appears in Future State Suicide Squad, who appears to be a mashup between Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, which is kind of an adorable concept if you ask me. She made her first glorious appearance at the end of the secondary story in Future State Suicide Squad issue number 1, but that likely isn't all we'll be seeing of her. April's cover for Flash issue 769 seems to suggest that she'll also be joining Wally West's Flash for some more adventures. Now that should be fun. Number 9, Eternal Garden. We see the future of Kara Zor-El come to an end in issue number 2 of Kara Zor-El Superwoman. Here we see her Fortress of Solitude become a home to many as the years go on. As more and more people come there to aspire to live up to her image and her name as she ages, the Fortress of Solitude earns a new name as the Eternal Garden. Even if you aren't completely sold on this dramatic change, it's still one worth reading about just for all of even this pretty art and the colors that it brings to you. Kara lives out her days here, and eventually the Eternal Garden becomes her eternal resting place. Kind of love it. It's really, really pretty, like wow, so pretty. You definitely need to check it out. I just even want to hang these covers up. I really love the covers for that series. Number 8, the Arkham Knights. One of the most interesting groups to come out of Gotham has been the Arkham Knights. This team is one created out of the deranged criminal minds from Arkham. Some interesting elements are that their hideout is Wayne Manor, in a world where, of course, many believe that Batman is dead, so this is like a Wayne Manor that's abandoned right now. The members of the team also are focusing on not just advancing themselves with physical training, but are also engaged in therapy still as well. So it's kind of like some weird villains turned hero team building and rehabilitation exercise that is all led by Astrid Arkham, the last surviving member of the Arkham family, also known herself as Arkham Knight, hence the team name. Arkham Knights, get it? She's the Arkham Knight. The team includes such characters as Victor Zsasz, Copperhead, Clayface, Dr. Phosphorus, Two-Face, Humpty Dumpty, Killer Croc, and Anarchy. And before we move on to our next point, just a quick reminder to give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it. It really does help us out here at the channel, and thank you if you already have. Number 7, New Teen Titans. A lot seems to be happening in the new Future State Teen Titans comic, one of the most preeminent being that we have a new team of Titans emerging here, featured even on the cover. But who are they, and how did they come to be Teen Titans, and what old members of the team still remain? Well, we still have Nightwing and Starfire in the team, as well as Beast and Cyborg, though in a new form, but we also have Miko Queen. Oliver's half-sister is Red Arrow, or potentially just Arrow now in this bleak future. They also seem to be working alongside Shazam here as well, who has his own team, and of course they have the surviving students of their school. This story of Teen Titans takes place after the school's collapse and the unfortunate demise of many of their pupils, as well as like much of the world. The team opened up the school to train new young superheroes, which I love as a concept, and I'm actually really excited for the spin-off series that's going to come out of this, which is the Teen Titans Academy, where hopefully we'll get lots more look-backs to the nice, happy days of the Academy. That'll be cute. Number 6, Deathwing. There is actually so much going on in Teen Titans when it comes to the team and world changes. One being that near the end of issue number 1 of that series, Dick Grayson becomes Deathwing, donning a Deathstroke mask and his Nightwing suit. In issue number 2, we are also offered another alternative for this mashup name that is pretty hilarious, but that I definitely cannot repeat here on YouTube. So if you're not reading Future State Teen Titans, by the way, it's definitely, I think, worth a read. I really enjoyed it personally. Some people think it's too much, I think it's just enough. We also learned in issue number 2 that Nightwing has been working on and off with Slade Wilson, so in that regard, his look also makes a lot of sense here, although Grayson insists that he hasn't worked with Wilson in months now. Still, I don't think his team is fully convinced on that point. I feel like Starfire is also just rolling her eyes, she's like, oh my gosh. Nightwing, why? Number 5, new Justice League. Now that it's been a little bit, I feel like I can chat about what went on with our Justice League team at the end of their story in issue 1. Not only do we have a new roster, which I'll get to in a minute, but at the end of that issue number 1 of Future State Justice League, we saw them become trapped and replaced. Of course, they weren't just going to give up, as we see in issue number 2. I mean, they are still the Justice League after all, but just who is in this league? Well, I touched on some of the things that make this team different in terms of their rules and their charter on part 1 of this list. It's now time to focus on not how they are, but who they are, which I also love that issue number 2 dives into a little more in terms of characterization. Wonder Woman is of course YARA FLOR, not an Amazon in the traditional sense, but from the Amazon. Superman is John Kent. Batman is still Jace, aka Tim Fox. Aquawoman is Princess Andy Curry, daughter of Mera and Aquaman. Jess Chambers of Earth 11 is Flash, and Green Lantern is Joe Moline from Far Sector, and by far my favorite member of this league. Although I do also think it's really cool that Jess Chambers is Flash. It's weird, it took me a while to like actually piece that one together. I don't know if I'm just like some sort of noob, but just realized that recently. Number 4, Detective Chimp. Huge changes afoot for Detective Chimp's character, featured in the additional Justice League Dark story we saw in issue number 1 of Future State Justice League. I was more focused on Justice League in part 1 of this list, so now it's time to get a little dark ourselves on part 2. One of the major changes we see here is that Detective Chimp in the future has become the host for Demon Etrigan himself. Neither party seems to be too happy about that situation, and we don't really find out in this specific story how all this came about or what exactly happened to Jason Blood, but it's definitely a crazy and interesting development. And actually, if you read issue number 2 of that series, you will find out more about that. So if you're wondering where'd Jason Blood go, what's going on, check out issue 2 of Future State Justice League for those answers. Number 3, CYBEAST. As I said, we get a combination of Cyborg and Beast in this one, and I really meant that. Very literally. In Teen Titans, it's revealed that the two have merged together and now exist in one shared body. It's pretty freaky, but also in a way, it's really cute and awesome. I love Cyborg and Beast dynamic together as friends and teammates, and I think if anyone had to share a body, they're the chosen few on the team who could actually make that work. And they do make it work pretty well. Number 2, Red X. This might not be a big character change in terms of like the actual character themselves, because we don't really know a lot yet, but just the appearance of this character in the comics is a big deal. Red X appeared in the Teen Titans animated series, and the true identity of the character was always a mystery. Like in the story here, we learn that Red X's mask and costume used to be one that belonged to Nightwing, but what we don't know is who is donning it now. Some theorize it could actually be a younger member of the family, perhaps a different Robin, such as Damian Wayne, or that it could be a new character, Bao Pham, aka Clown Hunter, who first appeared during Joker War. Right now, it's unclear, but either way, the appearance of Red X in Future State is huge, regardless of who is under the mask. And yeah, you know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure in Teen Titans 2 as well, I still don't know who it is. I feel like it's still a mystery. So I guess we're gonna have to wait till Teen Titans Academy. We're going to the Academy to find out. Number 1, 4 Horsemen. While Future State initially seemed like it was just a bunch of individual stories, we are now seeing as it progresses that there is more of an overarching and intertwining timeline at play here, with a grander story. Now, not everyone is going to be into that manner of storytelling, but I personally love a good jumbled and mysterious timeline. I love to try to solve it. It's like solving a mystery or like building a puzzle, and I love figuring that all out and just getting a bunch of little pieces. If you feel the same way about this, then one key piece to this puzzle that you'll want to know about is the 4 Horsemen. These 4 end up being defeated by Raven in Teen Titans issue number 2, but have actually made appearances across our timeline. We've seen or felt their presence in Future State comics like Shazam and Flash and Green Lantern, though exactly how they all kind of fit in still remains a bit of a mystery. Of the 4, all look familiar, with Wally West, the Flash, who actually has his own tombstone pictured in the Teen Titans series. And if you're thinking, no Amanda, isn't that Wallace West? No, actually there is a Wally West tombstone and a Wallace tombstone, so yeah. And also Roundhouse is another one of the 4 Horsemen that stuck out to me personally. But these 4 are definitely all connected to the far reaches of Future State, so keep an eye out if you're trying to build that puzzle by like looking at everything. It's a lot to look at. And we're not gonna get all the pieces, I don't think, here. We're gonna have to go to the other series to find it all out. Number 10, all masks are bad. Whereas we've known the government to not necessarily condone vigilantes, they usually aren't actively hunted down by the police or federal agents. However, in future state Gotham, we see a new status quo, one where vigilantes are seen as just as bad as the villains that they fight against. In some stories, villains are referred to as black hats and heroes are referred to as white hats, but at the end of the day, they are all the same in terms of them being masks. And that isn't good in this future at all. Masks are basically seen by Gotham's ruling forces as criminals, and Gotham is even working to make sure no one can question their authority when it comes to shooting and killing masks on sight. In fact, they've already made that a policy, though there are still some legal precedents that Gotham's police and peacekeepers need to overcome and figure out when it comes to avoiding prosecution themselves. Number 9, Harley Quinn team up. Kind of a weird one too. In Harley Quinn issue number 1, we find out that Harley has been captured by the Magistrate and is being used as a pawn and tool for Dr. Jonathan Crane, formerly known as Scarecrow. In this current climate, Scarecrow of course is no more, as masks are illegal. Harley, after being captured for being a mask, gets some time to reflect on her own alignment a bit, and I'm sure that that will end up actually being her overarching journey in this story, to figure out sort of who she is and where she belongs. To start, however, she seems to be pretty balanced, or I guess kind of unbalanced, when it comes to doing both. She is tasked by Crane to use her brilliant former doctor and psychologist mind to help him find and defeat other villainous masks who have been eluding the Magistrate so that they might be imprisoned. An interesting and, for Crane, infuriating team up that will hopefully end up leading to Harley's release, escape, or hey, maybe even we'll just leave her simply as Crane's oddball but genius partner. I'm kind of down for any/all of the above. Number 8, spoiler, the Traitor. Stephanie Brown seems to have found a new title amongst her Bat family in future state, and that title is Traitor. Initially, Spoiler was believed to have turned her back on the Bat family, befriending various villains and leaving her heroic ways behind, then becoming captured by the Magistrate's forces and locked up. She really started focusing on survival as opposed to doing what is right, which caused her to be looked down upon by the fellow members of her Bat family. We see her and Cassandra Cain actually come to blows, fighting one another initially when they are made cellmates. It seems like there is potentially going to be a lot of tension between this very divided Bat family. Something that we don't usually see much of. Okay, well, depending on which members we're talking about. The question is if Spoiler, or Patch as we know her in future state, has really changed sides for good. Or I guess I mean for bad. But is it permanent? I'm gonna have to read to find out. Number 7, Wally West, the villain. As much as this should be a big change, it seems to be becoming less and less of a surprising one when it comes to Wally's character. It seems DC is obsessed with making Wally West their big bad speed villain. In future state, we see Wally consumed by a mysterious entity known as Famine. This entity turns Wally against his friends, family, and fellow speedsters, even as they try to help him. Feeding on their speed energy, Wally breaks the connection many of them have to the Speed Force, and even in some cases takes away more than just that. I don't know why DC is obsessed with making fan favorite Wally West become a villain, but as interesting of a change as this is to his character, it's slowly becoming the modern status quo, which kinda ruins it. Also, people don't want to see Wally as a villain. Or most people don't. I don't know. Do you want to see Wally as a villain? Let me know in the comments. Number 6, Jessica Cruz. Jessica has lost her powers! You heard me right. We learned in one of the extra stories included in Future State Green Lantern issue number 1, titled The Taking of Sector 0123, that Jessica Cruz is all alone and powerless in outer space. She still has her ring with her, but is unable to use it. And the rest of that issue actually goes into that a little bit more. And it is alone that she faces a team of Yellow Lanterns who infiltrate the base that she has been guarding, and it is alone that she faces a team of Yellow Lanterns who infiltrate the base that she has been guarding and consistently maintaining all on her own for the past year. And yeah, it's a tech base, not a construct, so yeah. Fortunately for Jessica, she still has her training which she can rely on. She also won't remain without superpowers forever, likely, and you can check out the issue to learn more about what I'm hinting at there. Cruz fans especially should enjoy this story. I personally was like, this is pretty cool. I think it's my favorite one in that book in the Green Lantern book? Issue 1? I don't know. I think so. Number 5, no fraternizing. The new Justice League aren't just here with a new roster, but they also come with new rules as well. The biggest one seems to be that they aren't supposed to get to know each other, hang out, or really fraternize in any way. Heck, they don't even have a headquarters and aren't allowed to actually have any meetings. Say what? We find all this out in issue 1 of Future State Justice League, when John Kent, who is the future Superman, asks his fellow teammates if they would be interested in having a meeting. He acknowledges, however, that it breaks protocol. In fact, this team all seem to be more about doing their own thing than banding together, and often seem to get on one another's nerves. Still, despite it being against the rules, Yara and John seem to have found a bit of common ground, and have formed a friendship outside of the League. Shh, don't tell the League police. Wait, are there League police in the future? And Aquawoman and the Flash have also seemed to form some sort of a relationship. Number 4, defeat. The League we are introduced to in issue 1 ends up torn asunder pretty quickly in that first issue. Now, I don't want to spoil just how that all goes down, because it's honestly, I think it's a pretty neat read in my opinion, but just a reminder to not get too attached to our new team. It seems that their new charter rule of not fraternizing does not necessarily equate to giving them more strength. Here's hoping that this defeat actually might help them to maybe amend that policy in the future and like get rid of that part of the charter. Of course, only time will tell what the Justice League's true fate ends up being. We'll have to wait for issue 2 to find out. I really like this team, so kind of hoping we see some kind of redemption for them at some point. I'm kind of hoping we get to see them like in, you know, present day at some point, because I like them. I think they're cool. Number 3, the Magistrate. Gotham has a new major villain, potentially one of its greatest yet. It faces a force known as the Magistrate, who appear to have been contracted by Gotham's current future mayor, Christopher Nakano, to keep Gotham orderly. In fact, when I heard the Magistrate, I actually thought it was one person, but I don't think it's one person now. And by keep Gotham orderly, I mean impose curfews, shoot masks on sight, and arrest people who are peacefully protesting. I mean, hey, I guess they were out after curfew. The Magistrate's presence can be felt across all Bat-centric and Gotham-centered stories and books, but seems to really loom aloft in Harley Quinn, and has a commanding presence in Catwoman, where Selina herself goes up against their forces on a train transporting a ton of the Magistrate's prisoners. Number 2, new Batman. With a new future comes a new Batman, something we haven't seen happen for quite some time in the comics actually. I think the last time we saw someone take up the Bat mantle actually would have been way back when Dick became Batman for a bit. But now, who should be taking over after Batman's mysterious but not actually real death? Jace. Who is Jace? Jace is also known as Tim Fox, Luke's brother. While we don't know very much about Tim, as he hasn't been seen for quite some time in the comics, we do know he seems to have some very passionate motivation for taking up the mantle. In this futuristic Gotham too, where tech can easily be tracked and traced, Jace, as the next Batman, is forced to go without it for the most part, relying on more old school gadgets like his batarangs and his flashbangs. Flashbang. Number 1, new Wonder Woman. Of course, one of the biggest and brightest changes seems to be the addition of YARA FLOR, who is seen as the new Wonder Woman in Future State. YARA first appeared in Dark Knight's Death Metal issue number 7, but also has her own Future State comic subtitled Wonder Woman for people to check out. I think I can safely say she's been the most popular of the new characters introduced thus far. Yara herself is not actually from Themyscira, but from the Amazon, so really still an Amazonian when you think about it. Okay, that was a bad joke. Being from the Amazon rainforests of South America, she does not typically work alone, sometimes accompanied thus far by her winged horse Jerry and forest guardian spirit known as Kaipora. I think I said that right, Kaipora. I love Kaipora's look, by the way. I feel like I really want to do a Kaipora cosplay. Let me know what y'all think. Number 10, Future State Superman versus Imperious Lex. Well, this is a new and intriguing story to be sure. It also takes us back to a time when Lex was the ruler of a planet, first introduced in Superman 164. This planet was originally the battle where Superman and Lex planned to fight one another fair and square, as it had a red sun. So, you know, Superman's gonna be on the same level as Lex. However, they learned there were people living there whom Lex helped and eventually bargained with Superman to leave, so they would never know that Superman had beat him. Lex, however, would return to this planet, which was named in his honor as he was their hero, Lexor. In Superman vs. Imperious Lex, it's possible we'll see a return to this planet, as the story tells us Lex is ruling a planet under a red sun and has enjoyed many bountiful and peaceful years there when his planet is invited to join the ranks of the United Planets by one of Earth's representatives, Lois Lane. Lois and Superman obviously, however, don't trust Lex and remain suspicious that he's up to something, seeking to expose his true nature. Superman vs. Imperious Lex is written by Mark Russell with gorgeous art by Steve Pugh.
And if you guys could go ahead and toss us a thumbs up before we go on to number 9, that would be fantastic because it helps us out a lot here at the studio. If we get enough likes, they're gonna let me go home this year. And number 9, Dark Detective. Written by Mariko Tamaki and Dan Mora, big changes are coming to Bruce Wayne's life, and we cannot wait any longer. I mean, specifically the Dark Detective. So yeah, we get to see Bruce Wayne on the run after the world thought him dead, so okay. But while a new Batman takes over, and of course the nasty new military organization, the Magistrate, has taken over control of Gotham City. And another thing fans are looking forward to is Grifter is back. Yeah, Cole Cash is not going to have an easy go as Gotham City PD closes in. So after meeting with Luke Fox, we have to wonder, will his day get better or worse? We can't wait to see. And number 8, Superman of Metropolis. Written by Sean Lewis and Brandon Easton, last time we saw Clark, he left the safety of Earth in the hands of his son, Jonathan Kent. So, of course, he has one thing and one thing only to make sure he does, and that is, of course, to protect his home city. So it's a little stressful now that Brainiac is back and he's attacking. So John takes drastic measures, and then the outcome? Bottle City of Metropolis. Now, Supergirl, she's coming in hot. She's got some things to say. And in the new Bottle City, we see the rise of Jake Jordan, former Manhattan Guardian, looking for a new beginning. And alongside an anarchist named Honest Mary, also looking for a fresh start, with, of course, drastic ways. So now Jake has to deal with that inside the bottle, but fear not, he'll have the help of, drumroll, Jimmy Olsen.
Number 7, Future State Justice League. I feel bad actually ranking this one so low, as it still looks like such an amazing book, and it features some characters I'm both excited to meet and excited to see more of. Future State Justice League introduces us to this new era of heroes as we see Jonathan Kent become Superman, Yara Flor as Wonder Woman, Joe Moline as Green Lantern, my favorite, Andy Curry as Aquawoman, Tim Fox as Batman, and a brand new Flash from somewhere in the great multiverse. This new team keeps their true identity secret even from each other, which makes the suspense even greater when they find their greatest enemies dead and murdered within the Hall of Justice, and realize they are all the lead suspects on the mystery murder case. We also get a side story featuring Justice League Dark, who for some unknown reason were disbanded but now need to reassemble in order to defend the very fabric of reality from the Crow King Merlin. So many awesome mysteries afoot.
And number 6, Teen Titans. Written by Tim Sheridan, we see the world after the original new Teen Titans when they wanted to start their own school, right? You know, guide the minds of young ones as they explore their super side to make the world a better, safer place. And then cut 2 years later, where Titan's Tower is now just a constant reminder of all of those young lives lost, the lives of those young supers. So Nightwing, Starfire, Beast Boy, Cyborg, and Raven are going after what made that school go to hell in the first place. So now they have to get help from the mysterious Red X, who we've only seen in the Teen Titans animated show. We can't wait to see what happens there.
Number 5, Future State, Harley Quinn. Of course, you can never have too much Harley in your life, but this series I think will be a good one to grab for Harley fans out there, as well as people maybe just getting into the character now. Stephanie Phillips is writing and promises to bring something new to the character while also taking inspiration from some of the great Harley writers to come before her. The 2-part series is meant to focus on Harley Quinn's independence and what that means for her as she tries to define what kind of hero or villain or something in between she wants to be. Phillips wants to remind everyone of how smart Harley is, while also giving her some more reasons to question both the side of good and the side of evil when it comes to carving out what exactly her own role means. This series will also be setting the stage for Harley's 2021 series to come after it, which will continue the story. So for fans looking to get into that, this is a must read.
And number 4, The Flash. Written by Brandon Vietti, the preview for this one has me pumped up. So we find Barry Allen holding Captain Cold's gun, just locked and cold loaded, and if you're not already intrigued by that, I don't know what else to say. Besides that, we find Barry Allen also without his superpowers. That's right, he's all alone with no backup, so he has no choice but to team up with the other former Flashes to go against Wally West. Yeah, so he has to use the weapons of his foes to save Wally. How badass is that? And on top of that epic storyline, we're also introduced to a new Flash named Kid Quick from Earth 11. And we're expecting our first look at the new speedster in DC's Very Merry Multiverse one-shot coming up. Can't wait.
Number 3, Future State Catwoman. One of the series I know I am most excited for is Catwoman's, and trust me, you will be too when you hear why I'm so pumped. Automatopoeia is going to be making a comeback, baby! One of my favorite villains. And not only that, Catwoman will be dealing with all sorts of tricksy characters coming at her from all sides as she attempts to take on the Magistrate. She'll be running into a formerly presumed dead Bruce Wayne, but is it really him? Or some kind of impersonator looking to trick Catwoman into falling prey to their trap. She'll also be running into and possibly squaring off with Talia al Ghul, which is likely to be tense no matter what and interesting. This series is going to be written by Ram V with stunning artwork by Otto Schmidt. And you'll likely want to collect the issues considering some of the beautiful artwork featured there as well.
And number 2, Nightwing. Written by Andrew Constant, we see a world with Batman gone. So that means it's time for Nightwing to step up his game. And that nasty Magistrate we just mentioned is just making everybody's lives a not so great time. So we get to see Nightwing try and get ahead of the game and protect the city. Awesome. So where else to collect yourself and prepare than Arkham Asylum? It's got that homey feel, you know, it really gets the brain going, gets you in a nice calm zone. And then this is where he meets somebody claiming to be the new Batman. Okay, interesting, very suspicious. So in newly released images, we see a new Nightwing beside the red X. And he's wearing Deathstroke's mask. You love it. And the new Nightwing also carries a new sidearm, so they mean business.
Number 1, Future State, The Next Batman. This one is a must-read because it promises to introduce a new and powerful yet mysterious character. Someone who we haven't met yet, but who you might be shocked to learn already kind of exists. He is the estranged brother of Batwing, Luke Fox, which makes him, you guessed it, Lucius Fox's son. What's even more interesting, history-wise, is that this new son actually isn't new. Not really. Tim Fox is the next Batman, and although he prefers to go by Jace in this continuity, we've met him in a previous one before even Luke existed. New Earth. In that continuity, Tim got involved with a gang that was working for a rival and dirty businessman to Bruce Wayne. Once revealed, this caused some pretty big tension and drama between him and his dad. Here we don't know yet just what Jace's past entails, but we do know that he is going up against not just the Magistrate, but his father and Gotham's mayor as well. The next Batman series also includes some pretty interesting side series among them. I'm most excited for Gotham City Sirens myself, as well as Batgirls. Number 10, Dr. Phosphorus's fate. We still aren't sure if Dr. Phosphorus will pull through, but we are sure of how passionate Astrid Arkham is about ensuring his survival. She is the Arkham Knight and the leader of the Arkham Knights, appropriately, in Gotham, made up of the criminals and the criminally insane former patients of Arkham Asylum. I actually really enjoy the idea of this surprising, heroic, and loyal team who would follow Astrid to their deaths. In fact, in Future State, the next Batman issue number 3, it looks like Dr. Phosphorus may have just done that. Dying! Having suffered for so long and simply wanting to give in and just rest. But Astrid won't let him, and as heartless as that sounds, it actually comes across as fervently caring. Phosphorus gets shot down in their latest battle, and now it's up to the medical team at their home base to save his life. It's kind of hard because I'm like, for Phosphorus, I feel like him passing away wouldn't be bad, but I feel like for Astrid, I want him to pull through. I don't know. Number 9, Superman punches the sun. I don't know if this one was like super shocking in terms of reveals or anything like that, but it was shocking in a character development giggle-inducing sense, which I think is a form of shock. happy shock? In Future State Superman / Wonder Woman issue number 2, we get a little trading spots moment between Wonder Woman and Superman. While Superman battles the sun god, not really believing in gods himself, he ends up deciding to just go with it a little more, rather than trying to explain away what's going on or dismiss it. In fact, he actually embraces it so much, he faces it head on, punching the sun god, and thereby defeating him. Much to Wonder Woman's surprise, and much to my enjoyment, and hopefully your enjoyment too. Number 8, Slam Bradley's nightclub. Not only was it surprising to see Slam Bradley running a nightclub, but it was also equally surprising a few pages later when a shootout happened there. Oh no! Although, I mean, we are in Gotham, and this is Gotham City Sirens that we're talking about, so maybe I shouldn't be too surprised. However, I was shocked and crestfallen to see Bradley get shot and likely killed again, and to see Catwoman herself get shot and wounded again. Also, how many times has Selina taken a bullet now in the comics? Jeez, I feel like it's happened enough that it could have its own list. Poor Catwoman. Someone count the bullets in the comments. Number 7, Yara Flor leaves the Justice League. This was a shocking one for me. Although we didn't see it specifically happen in real time, it was alluded to in the Superman / Wonder Woman comic that at the time that comic takes place, Yara is no longer part of the League. I love her reasoning behind operating the way that she does too, and not being a part of the League. She has a really powerful speech where she kind of just talks about how she doesn't want to be a part of the system because it never changes, which is apparently how she always is able to anticipate that the Amazon rainforest will catch fire, because it kind of always does. There are always people ready to take advantage and find new ways to game the system. So she doesn't want to be any part of the system. She's like, people wouldn't like worry about having to deal with me if I was part of the League, because I'd be like part of them in a way. But I love it. Number 6, Bat in Peril. I thought the cliffhanger ending in the next Batman issue number 2 was a doozy personally, and then issue number 3 came along. Oh my goodness. I mean, I know this is Batman, and although he's a new Batman, he can likely get out of almost any predicament, because that's just what Batman is known for being good at, no matter who is underneath that cowl. I'm sure Jace can handle himself, but also, can he? I'm concerned. At the end of issue 2, we saw Jace as Batman confronted by a bunch of peacekeepers, forced to surrender. In issue number 3, we see how he gets out of that, only for him to end up being attacked and then strangled by the civilians that he's actually trying to help, who are sort of vigilantes in their own right, who decided to actually take justice into their own hands when they believed the system had failed them. Now, Batman is probably going to be able to get out of this one too, but I honestly cannot wait to read how that happens. This story started off slow, but the last few issues have really just started to pick up for me, and I've really been enjoying them. Starting to really like Jace, and I feel like we still don't know a lot about him, but I'm just liking the mystery too of like trying to figure out more about him with his little hints. Number 5, Teen Titans Academy. In the Teen Titans comic, we appear to be at a very devastating point in superhero history, filled with flashbacks. This series takes us back to a happier time when the Teen Titans members acted as teachers at their very own academy that they had opened. In their present day, however, we see them taking on a great threat which emerged, destroying the academy years ago and killing many of their pupils, teachers, and friends in the process. At least I think it was years ago. I don't really know how long ago it was, so I'm kind of just guessing there. This is a pretty shocking and bleak future that just makes us wonder more about how exactly we're brought here using the magical superhero amulet known as the H-Dial. How did this great threat, how exactly did it get unleashed? Because like we see a bit of it, but still a little mysterious. Number 4, Bruce Wayne on a train. I just like that it rhymes. This was a reveal that happened near the end of Catwoman issue number 1. Yes, spoilers, spoilers. Reminder of that warning I mentioned before we started counting here, because this one was a nice little surprise that I found in Catwoman issue number 1, where we follow Selina on a very interesting train heist, on a train full of the Magistrate's passengers / prisoners. They're prisoners. That's what they are. Catwoman ends up freeing and teaming up with Automatopoeia, while an in-disguise Talia al Ghul ends up finding what appears to be Bruce Wayne. But is it really Bruce Wayne, or could it be an imposter or a clone? So many thoughts flew through my mind at this ending. Either way, a very delightfully surprising cliffhanger ending to that issue. But we'll have to wait for Catwoman 2 to find out more. Number 3, Black Lightning. Shocking in the literal sense of the word as well. Jefferson Pierce received a major upgrade in Future State, although it seems a bit unstable to start. It seems that somehow his body was transformed into what looks like pure black lightning, making him a more deadly and unstoppable force, one that can also utilize his energy to move through others or travel into objects. How did this happen? In the next Batman issue number 3, in the continuation of the Outsider story, we gotta learn a little bit more about that, though it still remains pretty mysterious. What we're told is that this transformation came from magic and was caused by Black Lightning fighting the wrong magician at the wrong time, but for the right reason. So that's all we know for now, but I honestly cannot wait to learn more. Super cool to see him this powerful. He reminds me of Dr. Manhattan a bit, like the whole look. I like it. Number 2, where's Barbara? I just love the full page reveal for this one. In the Batgirl story that was included in Future State, the next Batman issue number 2, we learn about a plot to try and save Batman, who Cassandra Cain was led to believe is actually locked up somewhere in the Magistrate's detention facility, potentially being held somewhere deep, deep underground, and being held prisoner there. Dun dun dun. However, at the end of the comic, it's revealed that while Cassandra was right about where the signal she was tracing was coming from and kind of leading her to, it turns out that it wasn't Batman who was kept there, but instead was none other than Barbara Gordon, aka Oracle, aka Batgirl herself. I like how I said that like it was a huge reveal, but from the name at this point and then my little bit of story, you're probably like, I know where this is going. Reveal. Number 1, the 4 Horsemen. Probably one of the most shocking reveals has been that Future State seems to be actually building to something grander than all of its just neat, weird, and pretty little parts. In Teen Titans, we saw a glimpse of this coming together when it was revealed who were the main adversaries in Teen Titans issue number 2. Here we see the 4 Horsemen actually all appearing to be somewhat recognizable characters. While some are more recognizable than others, I'm sure, depending on what you're reading, the fact that they have been featured or hinted at throughout this event, or line, whichever you prefer to call Future State, popping up in various different stories was pretty surprising and neat. In fact, it's said that the more Future State comics you read, the more hints you'll actually have towards the major overarching plot and what it's about, and how all these stories kind of connect with one another.